Welcome back to the Monday mashup on the upper tier, brought to you by the Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Podbean, anywhere you pick up your podcasting. This is our Monday mashup, also sponsored by Hogan Elite Trophy Hire. Mark, how you doing?
How's it going, lads?
And also sponsored by Ellis Toys and Collectibles. Head over to YouTube, as always, and volley that subscribe button and smash that bell notification button to receive all the latest notifications from the Dynamo Podcast Network. Some fantastic shows over there at the moment. Carl knocking it out of the park with the metal show. Dara's doing a wonderful job in the off-season with the NFL on the Under Center podcast. Ted is killing it with Retrotainment at the moment. Some great episodes up there featuring Karate Kid and Jaws and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Ian doing a wonderful job on Dynamo's Dozen with some great interviews there and a fantastic back catalogue. And also the four podmen knocking it out of the park in terms of pro wrestling. Just dropped two fantastic shows there in the last 2 weeks related to CM Punk and Edge. But anyway, back to tonight's show. Lads, how are we all doing?
All good, Niall.
Good.
All good.
Good, excellent. We'd like to welcome Ryan Shanley. First time on, Ryan. Good to have you on. A Gowner, how are you doing?
All good, man. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Brilliant.
Lovely to actually talk to you instead of just sitting and watching it on my phone.
Welcome anytime. Just hit us up and let us know anytime you want to come on. We're always happy to have people on.
We also have Graham Cummins on tonight, who looks like he's just being put onto the sex register.
Jesus.
Fuck off.
Right, see, Graham, this is what happens when you get a trim, you know. These lads are jealous, you know.
You
You need a fresh cut, you know. You need a fresh cut.
That's it. Right, so anyway, let's get on to the business at hand. Let's have a quick chat about some of the key results over the weekend in the Premiership. Graham, as always, I go to you. The Champagne Lane. The champagne was flowing. Gareth Wales is back. Talk to me.
Yeah, it was a great performance. A must-win match. You know, it's never easy against the teams down the bottom of the table, especially Burnley, who love to make you work for it. But looks like we put Burnley under the cosh under like the first 5 minutes with the 2-minute goal from Bale, and could have been more than that. It could have been more than 3-0 at half time. It could have been 5-0, but it's good to see Bale getting a bit of confidence in himself that he didn't have in the previous week. That obviously that's why Mourinho wasn't picking him, because he wasn't fit, but want to prove himself now that he's fit, that he's getting back into the team now. I just want to see Dele Alli putting his pin in the team. He's fallen out with Mourinho in the past few weeks. He's only getting 10-15 minutes here and there, but that's not enough for a professional footballer to make his mark anymore. So good things, hopefully good things on the fly now. With the second end of the season now, hopefully we can push on, have a good finish. We'd probably say top 4 is out of question. It's too much for us to do. We'll probably push for a Europa League place, which obviously we might get from the Carling Cup final. See how City are and push on in the Europa League. You never know. Mourinho likes that. Likes to win Europa League. So
they do say teams find our level. So yeah, Europa League, nice one.
Yeah.
But what I would say is the one thing I noticed yesterday was it was nice to see Mourinho setting the team up to actually want to go out and attack. You had a number of attacking players on there with Moore and all, you know, so that was kind of encouraging. And obviously Gareth Bale obviously listens to the Upper Tier podcast, because we called him out about 2 weeks ago. Dane mentioning that he was a fraud. So, well, no, I mean, in fairness to him, over the last couple of games, he's turned back the clock quite a bit. So obviously Mourinho having a dig at him has obviously worked.
But two assists, 2 goals and an assist yesterday, you know, so wasn't too bad.
Yeah. It's Burnley, though, you know, not Inter Milan. Don't get too carried away, you know. So
I know, but you know,
but a good result. It is the same Burnley team that cost us our record at Anfield, so I can't say that.
That's what I say. That's Burnley are that type of side. They like to make you work for it, but if you break them down quickly, you know, it's it's an easy patch.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Shanley, talk to me about Arsenal yesterday. When I seen this team sheet yesterday, I feared for Arsenal big time. I didn't know what the hell Arteta was thinking. Aubameyang on the bench, Saka on the bench, and then a very early goal from Tielemans, and I was going, what's going to happen here? Give us your thoughts on it.
First and foremost, for me, the league is over. So I wasn't too surprised when I saw the team sheet. I definitely think give Saka a rest, give Aubameyang a rest. Of course, the manager is going to be questioned with any team sheet, but I understood why he did it. Prioritize Olympiacos in the next Europa League. But going into the game, I did see the team sheet and I said, there's going to be some questions after this if he doesn't pull a result out of here from somewhere. The game opened up and already the defending was a shambles. First few minutes, I was saying to myself, is this, same thing, same story every week with Arsenal going down. How many times are we going to concede within the first 10 minutes of the game or end up catching the game? Defending was a shambles. Pablo Mari dropping his position. You wouldn't see that defending in the games that Mark officiates over here. And then we just kind of got back into the game then. I felt like neither team was really at their best. I felt that Leicester were poor for the home side. I know that they're ravaged with injuries, but we're not going to get into injuries like some other fan base will get into, They're dealing with it the best they can. Even Brendan Rodgers said after the match he's not going to sit around and moan about it. But I did think Arsenal got into the second half a bit better. I think that we were overall probably the most dominant team, but still wasn't great. But I like when Arsenal get results like that, because how many times have we seen Arsenal where we have to play 10 out of 10 to win matches? We've seen it over the last few seasons where teams like City, teams like Liverpool have pulled results out of the bag when they haven't been at their best. And it was nice to see Arsenal finally do that for a change. Like, I know on our day, we can beat any team in world football. It's just doing that on a consistent basis when you're up against the wall, I thought the refereeing was actually good in the game as well. And we have some decisions over the weekend which are controversial, but I thought the referee there was 2 shouts. First penalty decision, I thought he got correct. I thought it was outside the box. I didn't see any complaints with that. The second decision, I think it was a handball. I thought he got that decision correct, which is confusing then, because we saw in the Chelsea and Man United game, I thought that was a penalty. So it's just, so it was confusing there with refereeing and consistency, but I did think the referee had a good game as well. Overall, I'm happy with it, and good. Of course, Leicester flying this season, second in the table. Good result against them, who have a good record against us. 4 wins out of the last 6 against Arsenal going into this game. But I'm thoughts around the Europa League though. That's the big one for me.
Yeah, it was good to see Pepe starting to show signs of what he was actually purchased for. But I mean, it's always this time of year that we get the Rodgers slide, so it's probably not surprising anyway.
Willian had a good game as well. A fella who I've been very critical of this whole season. I thought he's been dreadful. What's it? 2 shots on target in his last 26 or something. But to come up there and get 2 assists, that's why we brought him in. Bringing that experience into the first team, and just all I want now is for that to continue on a consistent basis. That's all we're asking for as a fan base.
Yeah, it'd certainly be interesting going forward now to see how they do. Ryan and Mark was on the preview show the other night for Chelsea Man United. And Mark was one of few who predicted some sort of a scaldy draw, so he got it spot on. We know we are the kiss of death here when we talk about goals. There's no doubt about it.
I was just going to say that.
Go ahead, Mark. What was you thinking on that game yesterday?
Jesus. Neither team done enough to win the game. Let's face it. The only controversial moment really was the handball. You seen Rudiger running after 5 minutes running at United like he was Ronaldo or something like that. But to me, I'm not being biased or anything, but it's a clear handball. How Stuart Atley has got that wrong is beyond me. Like, he's the same referee that got demoted from the Premier League in 2012 to 2016, I think it was. Mike Riley thought his performances were too inconsistent and demoted him to the EFL, and he came back, but he's still... I don't know what you think, lads, but it's a handball. That's a penalty all day long to me,
Ryan, what did you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I think with the way today's game is anyway, it's definitely a penalty. The game has gone soft. Like, there's no 2 ways about it. But It was a penalty. Let's be honest about it. I don't know why it took so long to try and get his head around it. And then you see the rumours then this morning of what Luke Shaw said after the game last night. And then you have Harry Maguire saying that he misheard. I don't know if that's to shut him up, so he's not slating the referee. But it is a clear handball. And I think United at the time were playing okay football. Like it wasn't a great game at all. And it just goes to show that's why our record against the Big Six this year is so poor, because we can't put away games like that. And regardless of the penalty, it was early enough in the game for us to close out the game, and we just didn't take any chances. And that's basically what I was. Bruno wasn't at the races yesterday. I think Shaw was outstanding again. He done what he had to do. Wasn't his best game, but he didn't have to do an awful lot. De Gea had a couple of decent saves. But no, they're the sort of games you should be killing off. We've had a great record against Chelsea over the last 2 or 3 seasons, and it's definitely a game that we should have won to kind of keep the. To be honest, I think City will win the league, but to keep the pressure on, especially with Arsenal doing us a favour and beating Leicester yesterday, I thought it was important that we get the 3 points. So to come away with only 1 point was fairly disappointing, because it's not as daunting to go to the bridge anymore as it used to be. So I think United should have took that into their advantage as well and put away chances. But there's no point in him and hawing over a penalty. You just get on with the game. The game's gone a bit soft for my liking, but you just go on. You have 90 minutes to win the game, so make chances and put them away. But we just didn't do it yesterday. It was just too sloppy at times. Chelsea weren't great either. Both teams probably had about 15, 20 minutes each where it was decent football. Other than that, it wasn't a super Sunday game, let's be real. So it was disappointing though.
The only positive we can take is we kept the clean sheet. That's the only positive you can really take from it.
That's the problem, isn't it? Like lately, well, not just lately, the whole season, we've been conceding so early, and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, fair enough, we've been coming back. But you want clean sheets, you want De Gea with confidence, because you've seen before when his confidence was knocked that he just didn't look a shade of the player we know he is. But yesterday he did pull off a couple of good saves, and the only benefit to come out of it is obviously it's not a loss, and our away form just keeps going on. That's 20 games now, I think it is. I know a lot of being draws, but then you look at the stats this morning of us against the Big Six, a ridiculous amount of smelly 0-0 draws, a slight loss, and I think 1 win, which just isn't good enough if you're going to compete for a title. And that's what the difference is between not just United, but any team towards City now. City are just steamrolling at the moment, and they're brushing teams aside. So, yeah, look, we'll move on to the next game now. Sticky draw now in the Europa League. AC Milan are not going to be easy to brush aside. But, we could just recoup after this. I'm sure Solskjaer knows where the game went wrong yesterday, and he just needs to have a word with certain lads about the way they're performing at the moment, because they're not performing like a Manchester United player should.
Yeah, it was it was a game once again that we see built up so much to deliver so much, and yet it's a sad indictment on the league, really, when you see 2 performances like that, really. You know what I mean? It's just neither team wanted it enough to go and pursue it, really. You know what I mean? Both teams were scared to lose, and both teams were probably equally as scared to win. And it's really like, unless those teams are like how are both those teams in the top 6? It's beyond me with those type of performances, you know what I mean? And it just tells you how many other top teams in there at the moment are in transition, you know what I mean? That they're letting these 2 teams sort of, guide the way. If we take City out of the equation, that we know they're going to run away with the league anyway, Dean, back to winning ways at Bramall Lane.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
That's why he's on this week. That's why he came on this week.
It's the first episode.
Sorry, don't mean to cut us all across. I'm a frontline hero, okay? I'm working in a hospital all the way through this pandemic.
Looking after the Liverpool players.
Not one of these came on here. Buzzing to be back to winning ways. If we'd have dropped points last night, all respect to Sheffield United, but you probably would have seen me hanging off a bridge on the M50 or something this morning all over the papers, because just the relief, and it just sets up Thursday. This is like a fucking Champions League final on Thursday. I know we've 11 games to go, but you're taking point. I thought United would have beat Chelsea, if I'm honest, which would have been nicer, but just going into Thursday now, it's a massive test, because we said there 2 weeks ago if Fabinho's fit, he has to play in the middle. This game on Thursday, if he's fit, he has to play in the middle of the park, because Chelsea, since Tuchel has come in, they've just got some sort of, they're solidified in the middle of the park. And I just think if we don't have Fabinho in the middle of the park against Chelsea, it's nearly 2 goals down already. But last night was brilliant to watch. The first 30 minutes were a bit of a cagey affair, as was expected, because going forward we're not really great lately. But I hide behind the pillow when other teams attack us, because we're just so vulnerable. To get that first goal was brilliant, and just big credit to Trent for that goal, because he worked. I think any other player would have just took it as that's going out for a goal kick, but just to get a toe onto it and whip it back. And Curtis Jones, I think, is the youngest Liverpool player to score an away goal in the Premier League since Sterling did way back when. He set the tone for the game last night. Curtis Jones, he looks like he's been playing in the Premier League for about 10 years. He's still a bit to go before he's well established, but if he keeps going the way he is, I have a feeling we could be looking at the next Gerrard. He's still only a kid, but I have a feeling 10 years time we'll be sitting there. Well, our kids will be sitting there saying, "Oh, I love him. That's my favourite player," the way we did about Gerrard back then. Big mention for Adrian as well, under a lot of criticism lately. Some very, very good saves. Big presence when needed. I wasn't expecting him to be in. I thought Keller would have been playing, but I hear he's out injured as well. But he really stepped up last night, which was fucking huge, you know. Considering with the two fullback or the two centre backs that played, another shout out for Nat Phillips. He's so calm and assured. You know what I mean? Like, he's in a win-win situation here. Like, we tried to get rid of him last summer and we couldn't. Nobody wanted him. He was looking at going back to America to do some degree in college or something, just give up football. But again, last night, didn't put a foot out place. Immense in aerial duels. I think that kind of helped Kabak a bit, because Kabak, as I said last week, he's not really tactically aware as of yet. He's going to take a while to settle in. But look, he made a few good challenges and a few good clearances as well. But my man of the match last night, everyone went with Cole. I thought Nat Phillips was brilliant last night. I think he really, really stepped up. Look, if we don't keep him in the summer when Van Dijk, Matip and Gomez are back with his performances, and if he keeps performing the way he is between now and the end of the season, could easily get 15 million for him. I'm not saying that being far-fetched. I do think that he's really come on leaps and bounds. There's a lot of pressure on him and he stepped up to the plate. Concerns for me, Thiago. Again, just he's no real impact in the game at all. Like, as I said last week, I think he's coming into that team thinking that everything's going to be all fucking hammering teams every week, and he'll pop up with a goal or assist and everybody be talking about how brilliant he is. But my dad said it last night. It's like I haven't seen enough since he came into the team to say he's going to establish himself in the team when everybody's fully fit. Who I think one of the pundits last night was assuming said if Liverpool were playing in the Champions League final next weekend, he doesn't think Thiago would start, because I don't think Thiago knows what he's bringing to the team at the moment. He's kind of hot and cold. Hasn't had any. Well, the team's not really scoring, but he's had no assists since he came in. The only bonus was he didn't get that forced yellow card that he usually gets in every single game. I thought Gini Wijnaldum was absolutely immense last night. He fucking worked his socks off. Give him whatever he wants to stay. Just all round happiness, I suppose. Usually, I thought about Ramsdale after the game. I think when Liverpool play teams, your keeper's nearly fucking man of the match. I was thinking to myself, what are we going to do to beat this fella? But eventually we did break the deadlock, and 3 points, massive game Thursday, and we go again.
Well, if there's a goalkeeper out there that wants to add 20 million to his value, just come and play Liverpool. We'll make you look world class. Yeah. Craig, what was your thinking on the game? You must have been happy. Finally, a defence and a midfield.
I was happy and concerned similar to Dean because all the results as usual kind of went for us, and then it came to us obviously last of the weekend, but we had to do our own job. No disrespect to Sheffield United. 11 points, 3 wins all season, but you still have to do the job. You still have to be who's in front of you. Adrian came in, was a bit of a surprise. Completely understand Alisson's situation, obviously not playing, but wasn't sure with Kelleher if he was fit or not. So it was a bit like, oh, Adrian, and then a new centre back pair, and again, you throw that into the mix. So we didn't know what we were going to get. Torchino and Alden, taking the captain's armband, fully deserved last night with the performance he put in. Absolutely outstanding. Curtis Jones, we talked about people who are going to step up and, show a bit of class and a bit of character. He's 20 years of age and he ran the fucking show like last night. Absolutely outstanding. And his temperament and his attitude is second to none as well. Dedicating the goal to Ali, after it was really nice. Sheffield United, I thought was going to be a bit of a tough one, two big physical centre forwards, McGoldrick and McBurney. I thought Nat Phillips handled his duels. Again, as Dean said, second to none. Absolutely excellent. Can't put a foot wrong. Kabak, I thought was a bit more on the sketchiest kind of side, which is understandable. He's only come into the Premier League, so he's still kind of feeling everything out. But I thought Phillips took a bit of a stranglehold of the back line very well, dealt with all the duels, getting physical. It's a kind of like forced his hand, I think, with Henderson being out. Now we actually had two centre-halves in. I am concerned going into Thursday. If Fabinho's fit, will he take one of the lads out and drop him back? Cannot do that, especially against Chelsea. As Dean touched on, that midfield and the way Tuchel sets up, they're going to just pick their moment and just, be so calm and collected on the ball, and they'll come forward at will. We need someone in there to enforce that doesn't happen and to cover the back four and protect it. No one better than Fabinho. I hope Jota will be also back. I think he had a bit of an illness yesterday, which was ruled out. But if we have another good bit of training before Thursday and the two lads are back in for Thursday and played in the right positions, I think we'll have a great chance. Going forward, we look good. Ramsdale, what can you say? He was absolutely amazing. But we got two good goals, and we got the 3 points. But Thursday has become even bigger now. We need to win on Thursday. No doubt about it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to combine now. There's another result I want to talk about, obviously. But I'm going to combine it with one of our first hot topics at the moment. So we do have our resident referee on here tonight. So I'd like you all to give the ref a hand.
Thanks very much, lads.
Thanks, lads. Just clap the ref on. Give the ref a hand. Yeah. So where do we begin with this? First of all, this give the ref a hand. We've spoken on this podcast on numerous occasions, Mark, that the good referees are the ones that are invisible, that you don't see, that just get on with the job. And we've had a couple of instances over the last week or two. We had a referee squaring up to a player to have a go. And then we had Lee Mason, who I don't know what he was thinking. It was a very strange decision. And this is all coming on the back of referees looking to be applauded onto the pitch, which draws more attention to them, which is very strange. Mark, what was your take on that? You're obviously the referee on here, so.
Yeah, no, the Lee Mason one, I'll start with that. Lee Mason, I just want to say he was actually in the VAR gallery during the West Ham Fulham game. So he gave the approval for Mike Dean to send Soucek off only, 2 or 3 weeks ago. So he, that on Saturday was such a mess up. Firstly, if you go back and look at it, he doesn't walk the wall out and bring them 10 yards and put the spray down and then come back and spray where the ball should be. Secondly, then for the quick free kick, I personally never give an opportunity for a quick free kick. It's too much pressure on yourself, especially in the amateur game. I have to get myself into position. If they take a quick free kick and it hits someone in the hand in the wall and I don't see it, they're giving out to me. But sure, I'm not ready because they want to take a quick free kick. So my rule of thumb is no quick free kicks. People say it's unsportsmanship and all this, but then what he does, he blew the whistle. He knew he made a mistake. He said there was movement in the wall. If you look at the replay, there's no movement in the wall, no argy-bargy. He blew it. He knew what was happening, and then he blew the whistle again. Obviously, when he blew the whistle a second time, the goal doesn't stand because the game has stopped. But the reason he gave the goal is I think he thought the ball was over the line before he blew the whistle the second time. But the thing about Lee Mason is he's an elite Group 1 referee. He's been in, I think, since 2006. I think it was saying from 2006. And with the elite Group 1 referees, you can be nominated by the FA to do international games, Champions League games, and Europa League games. This just shows the trust that they have in him. Since 2006, he's only done 16 games outside the Premier League, where Michael Oliver done 8 games alone in the Champions League last season. That says a lot about Lee Mason, you know.
Yeah, it's certainly, it's indicative. I mean, anything that can go wrong for that guy at the moment is going wrong. And I mean, because he's under spotlight and he's under such pressure at the moment, he's actually forgetting the basics of refereeing, really, which is kind of shocking. Ryan, what was your take on this, Ryan Shanley?
I've seen referees make mistakes. Referees are human. After all, we've seen them make mistakes, but I've never seen a decision quite like it, of just complete incompetence. Really, to me, Brighton were robbed the goal. It's that simple to me. And then, fair enough, the whistle was blown for it to not be a goal, and then he ended up giving it. That's the bit that got me. He ended up giving the goal. So then it was a complete disaster then between. Now I'm not blaming that goal for Brighton losing. They missed 2 penalties in the game as well. But that I saw that decision. I was laughing with my brother watching it. I've never seen a decision quite like it. But like quick free kicks are a part of the game. It's Lee Mason has messed up there, and of course after the game, Lewis Dunn came out and he was snapping about it. And what I don't get is you're seeing managers be fined, you're seeing players being fined. I don't understand why referees aren't being held accountable for mistakes that they make. I know that they're human, I get that, but we have to have a level of standard of performance that referees have to stand by. It's just getting to a point where it's killing the game, referees at the moment. And we're talking about Wenger said this for years, and he was called a moan and a granda, for giving out about it. But VAR was given to help referees, and all it's just proven is that the referees don't know what they're doing. They don't. And I think that we need to implement a better educational tool to help referees, because if you watch the Champions League, VAR was introduced into the Premier League, and it was introduced into the Champions League, and it was brought into the last World Cup. If you watch the Champions League, there's very rarely a decision you see here. That World Cup I thought ran very smoothly, and that was a very basic, primitive model of VAR. And every week I feel like we have to sit here and talk about Premier League refereeing, and we were sitting here, and instead of talking about Man United and Chelsea, we spoke about referees for the whole time. Instead of talking about the actual football and what happened, we're sitting here and analysing. I don't want to talk about referees. I want to sit here and I want to talk about football.
Thanks, Ryan.
Well, I think...
I don't.
No, but in fairness, Ryan, you have a point. Like, because of this incident, the BGMOB who are in charge of all the match officials in England, Mike Riley is the managing director. The laws of the game state it's the referee's discretion for a quick free kick. Now, that's going to be brought into... They're going to look at because in the MLS, you're not allowed to take a quick free kick. In the MLS, if you take a quick free kick, it's brought back and you're actually cautioned a yellow card for taking the quick free kick, but you still get to retake it. And I think that's what they're going to implement try to implement anyway in the Premier League.
Yeah, but to take more pressure off referees and stuff. I think that's what has to be done, But also this is Mike Riley, who was in charge of the Arsenal Man United game where we lost our invincible record. One of the worst refereeing displays I've ever seen in my life, and that's dating back to 15 years ago or something. These guys need some serious help. And I don't even, we're talking about referees being abused and targeted and stuff. Anyone who goes and targets and abuses anyone is not a football fan, and we don't want anything to do with it in our community, in our society. But valid criticism. Oh yeah, but valid criticism is a thing, and we have to start holding referees accountable.
Well, we definitely have to take. Can I just sorry, Niall? Don't mean to jump in there before. But there's a couple of players said throughout this season that why are the refs not interviewed after games? They make these fucking shite decisions that could cost, like Villa and Sheffield United last year. how like that ball was like 2 ball widths over the line, but no one seen it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then refs they just go off hiding, and it just fucking pisses me off. Like I loved going around the local park and watching the schoolboy football. And you see parents abusing refs. I'm like, this guy works full time. He's coming out here on a Saturday or Sunday morning to ref a kids game. Kids should be here to enjoy the football. Yeah, you're standing on the sideline with your chest out, giving a Billy Big bollocks in front of your kids, in front of your kids and other kids. Like, that's for the enjoyment of the out. But there's so much riding on Premier League football. Any football at that level across the world, there's so much riding on it. You look at bad mistakes that have been made by referees, and they just go fucking coward in their dressing room. And then there's a PA, there's like a fucking statement put out about, oh, this referee, he's gone through a tough time and all due to the negative criticism. These referees should be held accountable for some of the decisions that have been made. They should be brought out on Match of the Day or whatever, and asked like why this decision was made and why this, that, and the other. Like they get away with, some of them don't deserve the criticism again, but some of them, that the arrogance of them, the likes of Andre Mariner and David Coote and all, like I've had enough with the referees. They really need to be held accountable for some of the decisions they made, and they should have been live television asked about these decisions, because he blew that whistle to let them take that free kick. He blew the whistle and told them to take the free kick.
Lewis Dunn gassed him.
You can hear Lewis Dunk saying, "Can I take the free kick?" He blows the whistle, and then now all of a sudden it's not. And then to say he was injured yesterday, so he didn't have to be for the fishing in the Liverpool game. Grow set bollocks, mate, will you? Seriously, grow set bollocks.
That's Mike Riley. That's what Mike Riley does, is protect the referees. And I'm totally with you, Dino. The referees should come out and say, "Listen, I made a mistake." I think managers and fans would respect them more if they came out after the game and say, "Listen, I made a mistake. I'm only human. You know, I can't reverse the decision, but at least I can learn going forward, you know." But you got to understand as well, the professional referees in England only became professional in 2001. Like, they're one of the last to become professional. And another note is, before they became professional, there was a retirement age of 48. When they became professional in 2001, that was dropped. So you have the likes of Mike Dean, who's 52, John Moss yesterday, you seen him run around the Liverpool-Sheffield United game. That has an awful lot to play in it as well. Another thing I will say about the Premier League, they're the lowest paid referees in Europe, across the big league, Spain, Italy, Germany. They get on 1,500 a game. Compared to in Spain, the refs get 6,000 a game. There's assistant referees on between £350 to £850. This is in the Premier League now. Assistant referees. The assistant referees in La Liga are getting 3,500 a game. There needs to be more. Like, I'm not just saying, but if you're gonna pay peanuts, you're gonna get monkeys. You know, that sort of way.
But I think, in fairness to that comment, Mark, I mean, you get that throughout the game. You know what I mean? Like, when you look at Arsenal, I mean, Aubameyang is on 250 grand and Saka's on 40 or something. So, like, you get the level. I know you say what you pay for and stuff like that, but, like, I mean, you know what I mean?
I know, but what I'm saying is,
1,500 quid is decent money for 90
no,
minutes work. You know what I mean?
It is, but I'm saying the FA should be investing money in the referees, not just their payment on the day, their actual training. Like, some of the referees, the actual official training for a referee, they meet up once every 2 weeks. Now, they do their own thing at home and whatever, but like they should be training more. And
so there has to be a new educational tool to be implemented into the game. It is something clearly not right, and especially with Stockley Park and stuff. Have you seen that video emerged from how they do the VAR in Australia? The audience and the crowd can hear everything, the players' conversation, and then the referee.
It's like the rugby.
The referee will come along there and explain to the players why he's making this decision and why he's giving it. And I was like, this needs to be implemented into every league. I think not just the Premier League, but definitely. I'm not saying get rid of the referees, sack them. I'm saying they need to be re-educated. And as Mark said, there's a good point about the age thing. I think that the same way, like, you wouldn't want the footballer running around at the age of 40.
Well, you see, the fear is when these things happen now, they're going to start taking these little things out of the game, and gradually the fun is going to come out of the game, and that player cleverness, will be hampered. They'll probably look at this and go, now, right, every free kick has to have the whistle. There's no quick free kicks, blah, 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 all this kind of thing. You know what I mean? And that takes the fun out of the game as well. That, like, that's the kind of cool thing we want players to be doing. you know what I mean, what they did yesterday, and yet they're hampered over it. But I think
Well, can I just
go ahead,
throw a
Greg.
question to Mark real quick? Mark, what do you make of the referees going to the monitor and having a quick glance and running back off instead of actually properly reviewing the situation? That seems to happen a lot recently. Even the Liverpool, not even a glance, and he legs it off and decision made. What do you make of them situations?
Well, I said on a podcast with Niall a good few weeks ago, when less referees were going over to the screen, I said that was my problem with VAR. I'd rather see the referee go over to the screen, spend a minute or two, because the whistle stopped anyway, game stopped, add the time on at the end, but go. Because refereeing is basically all about selling your decision, right? If you go over and you look at the screen for 10 seconds, you can't sell the decision. You're like, all the players are looking around going, you barely spent any time over there. Go on.
Around the referee yesterday, like behind them, all the Chelsea were looking at the.
Where was their yellow cards?
Yeah.
Where's that? You're supposed to be. That's what I mean. You want correct decisions being made, and then you're pressuring the referee. Get away from the fucking screen. Leave him to make his decision. Where was the yellow cards there?
Yeah.
No, it's right. But like I said, you see the players. The players are on 5 times a year the amount the referees are on. But like I said, going over to the VAR screen, I think you have to spend at least 2 or 3 minutes to go over it. Your man's talking to you, and you're going over it together. And like I said, that was a great one the other day, or a few weeks ago. Mike Dean, how between the two of them did they not see that Souček barely didn't even touch a man, Mitrovic? And he goes down like he's been shot.
And the handball yesterday in the game, it was a clear view. There was no one impaling his vision or anything.
Just on the United one yesterday, did anyone notice though when he was over looking at the monitors, 4 or 5 Chelsea players around it's not like
Suarez got booked for that. Suarez got cautioned for that not so long ago, going over to the referee, standing. They should have a thing. You can't go in with 10 yards of where the referee is.
You're not allowed to leave the decision. You shouldn't.
Yeah,
the same way a manager has his technical area, and you can't. There should be like a little referee technical area.
There is a law where the law is there. The players can't leave the field of play without permission from the referee. So if a Chelsea player goes over there, he's off the field of play. Book him straight away.
Get booked, yeah.
I love this. We'll move on from this refereeing anyway, because I have a Man United fan and an Arsenal fan saying you shouldn't be pressurising the referee. So I have to move on from that. It can't be tolerated. Lads, did you ever watch football in the 90s and the early 2000s? No.
The good old days.
The good days.
You're lawyer Rennie.
I want to touch on something here with Graham. It was announced there during the week from UEFA and the Champions League that they're potentially looking at holding a final in New York in 2024. And the deal about this is that they want to entice more sponsorship and more worldwide sponsorship into the UEFA Champions League. But they wouldn't be changing the time. We'd still get our 8 p.m. kickoff and all that kind of thing. Graham, what was your thinking on this when this was announced the other
day? I'd say we know that we have football. We have more followers in America who do support certain teams. Like the likes, like the Liverpool, United, and probably Real Madrid as well. But times are changing. You want to. They're trying to make like the cup finals like international. They're not just European. They want to go to a New York or an LA. Get like the big probably. In like in Champions League you have like the PlayStations. You have like maybe Coca-Cola. But if you go to America, you might get like a Renault or a Ferrari or something. So.
Well, it definitely wouldn't be Renault, that's for sure, if it's American.
Well, it's just more. It's just more money. It's just more looking to see where UEFA can make more money. That's all it is. I think it's just see what revenue they can get in from the show more games in another country. Well,
in fairness, from their side, they're saying that with the new format that they're trying to implement, it's going to cost a lot more money to run as well. Ryan Maher, what was your thinking on this when you seen it?
About the Champions League?
Yeah, going to America potentially.
That's to be honest, to me that's just taking the mick. It's a European competition, isn't it, lads? Like, I mean, at the end, they're turning football into a commercial racket now at this rate, between players, tournaments, teams. They're talking about expanding it, the whole lot. Like, I mean, what happened to the good days when it was the European Cup? You're talking Europe's elite from every league in like Italy, Spain, Germany, England, obviously. Now they're talking about moving it to New York. What's this like? Is this to line their own pockets? Is it to expand to America, to make it a global scale that it's a big thing? But it's just contradicting. That'd be like saying, look, lads, we're going to hold the Super Bowl in Wembley this year. How is that going to go down with fans? You know what I mean? I just think it's an absolute nonsense.
It's not to happen.
Now, don't get me wrong, it'd be an amazing experience, don't get me wrong, to go to the States and watch it, but it has to stay in Europe. It's the European Cup, like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're a Manchester United fan or a Liverpool fan or whoever may be in the final that year that's representing England. So you travel around Europe and then you're going to have to fork out thousands to go see your team in the final as well. It's just going to be, it's a commercial racket. It's all got to do with sponsorship. You can be sure there'll be some bleeding halftime show. There'll be ads every couple of minutes when the ball goes out of play for throw. They're trying to turn it into the Super Bowl as such. I just think I wouldn't be on board with it. No way.
Well, when I first heard about it, I was thinking, is this their play to start, a world league? And I was kind of thinking, how far away are we from maybe seeing LA Galaxy or, one of the top teams in the MLS suddenly competing in the Champions League? And the argument, I suppose, against it is it's not really a European Cup now, is it anymore, considering with Brexit? You know what I mean? So there's an argument for that as well.
This way, right? You can do it like, I know there is a World Club Cup, but if you want to go down them lines, every 4 years have a similar thing. Like, I don't know what way they work it on a grading system on a team that's won the most cups or the team that's performed from that country in Europe. And then you can have teams from, say, the US and Asia and stuff like that, and actually have a World Club Cup tournament, maybe in between the Euros and the actual World Cup, and then battle it off. Like, you have your United's, Liverpool's, cities, then you have your Real Madrid's, Barcelona's, AC Milan's, Juve's and all that, and then compete against other clubs. But I think to move the European Cup outside of Europe is just a farce, and I think it is in the long run, to me, it just seems like a commercial money racket, to be honest.
Well, they're trying, I think with the new format as well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to pitch the bigger teams, the more competitive teams, into matches more often against each other. And they're trying to weed out the lesser teams, if you like, in a quicker kind of format, if you like, through this whole new league table, But, I could see from their point of view wanting to attract in more global sponsorship kind of makes sense. Yeah, but there's ways of doing that without having to stage it in the local sort of market. You know what I mean? It's
And then another thing, Niall, is the likes of the La Liga teams. The La Liga finishes later than the Premier League. So, say Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid got to the final in New York. They travel to New York. Then the following week, the Copa del Rey final to contend with, and you're traveling back and forth from America in the lead up to that. It's just it wouldn't work. I don't think.
Totally agree with you there. I think that's a bit of a joke as well. Yeah,
I rarely have sympathy for professional footballers traveling in private jets with their feet up. You know what I mean? And me cramped in economy. Me and Dean and Graham Cummins there traveling to America. We're in with the luggage nearly.
That's what I was going to say there. My first thought when I heard it was, bit of luck, it's on WrestleMania weekend. Sure, like we fucking go to that as well.
Go to it.
Carragher's bar be straight. Dean will be straight into Carragher's bar.
Lewis Garcia for life. Anyway, we'll move on from it anyway. This week, a lot of interesting stuff coming out this week about Sergio Ramos, the man who's been called a centre back with the soul of a number 9. Look, there's a lot of contractual stuff going back and forth between him and Real Madrid, and we did have a conversation the other night on the podcast. The thought was that Real Madrid and Barcelona might be stockpiling money, which I said is clearly not the case with who they're trying to get rid of. But Ramos has come out and said that he hasn't been offered a new contract, and Real have come out and said he has, but it's only 1 year and he wants 2 years.
Yeah.
But apparently Real Madrid have asked Sergio Ramos, who is the figurehead of the team really, he has to go and convince the players to take a 10% pay cut. And he also has to take the same 10% pay cut himself. And his argument is that in the last while, Danny Carvajal has seen his money double. Tony Cruz has got an increase of, I think, 1.5 million. And he's perplexed by this. And he's claiming that the club have offered him a 1-year contract and he wants a 2-year contract. And this is just this is really bad looking for Real Madrid, especially with a servant like Sergio Ramos. You know, who was, you know, I mean, he's a club legend. Like he's a football legend there, alone a club legend. You know what I mean? Craig, what was your taking on this?
Yeah, I think, no, remember we were doing the Barcelona program. They have to be very, very careful about giving out these big contracts to people who are in the 35s to 36s. Tony Cruz is kind of going a bit late on in his career. Danny Carvajal I wouldn't put him in that kind of bracket, whereas, you know, would you really be giving him the big contract? Ramos is much more than just a player on the pitch. He's like the heartbeat of Real Madrid. You know, I did see a thing about his agent saying a 2-year deal with a 1 year is a 1 year and then a rolling, like some sort of rolling deal. Well, he wants the same wage. He does not want any cut whatsoever. And I can see his point of view. If lads all around you are getting deals and you know your own value and your own worth to the club, I absolutely understand where he's coming from. He's like, look what I've done for this place. You know, he wins games basically, as you said, like the number 9 nearly style from a centre half. You know, he's bigger than life, like for Real Madrid.
Yeah, but Craig, he's 35, like in 3 weeks,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
You can't. This is what I'm saying about Barcelona, though. You know, they made that mistake giving Piqué luxurious contract. You know, all the older players, you can't do that. Not in this day and age. You cannot do that. Like, you give the contracts to the likes of the young, not like luxurious contracts, but you look for contracts as in who's going to take us forward, who's going to be here developing 3 or 4 years. The younger lads.
I don't look at like Niall was saying there, looks really bad for Real Madrid. Like, I don't see the problem in it at all. Like, he's 35. They're trying to get David Alaba in, who wants 400 grand a week. Varane is 27. So why sell Varane and keep a 35-year-old in the team for his last couple of years, a little hoorah? Like, if he's free in the summer, so like I really don't see. I know, like, he's given everything. He's been at the club for 16 years, what have you? But like, he's like, what does he want from the club? Like, well, 35, mate.
I think the issue is not whether, like, the club has decided whether he should go or he decides whether he should go or stay. It's the dirty work that the club is trying to get him to do in the background, apparently. And, you know, he's obviously, well, why should I do this? What's in this for me? Like, you know, I mean, I've been the leader of this.
They've done the same with Ronaldo and all. Like, he's not like, he didn't start his career there and end his career there. Like, do you know what I mean? This is Spanish football we're talking about. It's one of the seediest leagues in Europe. Along with Italy.
Yeah, but you're talking about a long-time servant there with Real Madrid. You're also talking about a man who nearly has a better strike rate than a lot of strikers in La Liga. You know what I mean? You're talking about a man who's done an awful lot for Real Madrid, you know?
It's great. Real Madrid is it's just out and out great. They're funded by the King of Spain. They've never been bankrupt. They've never been close to being bankrupt. Look at the trouble Barcelona in the leaked fucking Leo Messi wage bill all over the front of the news in Spain when it came out. Never mind the back pages were the sports. But I understand where you're coming from and saying that he's been a long-time servant against 16 years. He's more goals than fucking some strikers do in world football, and he's a centre back. But I think Real Madrid, like, this would have been cleared up at the start of the season. They wouldn't have let it get this, 3 months before the season finishes. Yeah. If I'm Ramos, I'd be like, they don't give a fuck about me. So why make a big fuss in the deal about? Maybe he just wants to fuck them under the bus. But at the end of the day, when he leaves, the president of Real Madrid isn't going to give a shit. No one's going to. Do you know what I mean? The fans aren't around to vent the frustration around.
The fact that Ronaldo went to Juve, I mean, sure, Ronaldo's, you know, I mean, he's a world superstar, and to let him just go. And I mean, obviously, look at the treatment of Bale as well. You know what I mean? It says a lot about what goes on at that club. But
who's going to sign a 35? Like, who wants? Like, I read that United were interested, but he's 35 years of age. Like, he's going to come into Man United. He's going to want about 250, 300 grand a week. And then I seen something about Liverpool being interested. It's like, he'd be about as welcome on Liverpool as Margaret Thatcher, like, you know what I mean?
But Dino, Ryan will probably remember this. 2 years ago, he did the same thing. Him and his agent linked themselves with Manchester United for the whole summer. Then at the end of the summer, Real Madrid gave him the contract for 300 or 400,000, whatever it was.
Yeah, he linked himself to China as well, wasn't it? A team in China.
It shouldn't come to that, though, should it? Like, you know, especially.
No,
like,
it shouldn't. But that's the way these agents work. And we spoke about this a while back on one of the podcasts, Niall, about the agent's influence. And it's the same thing about what we're just saying about commercial. Like, Ramos done this every single season that he wants a new contract. Like, he linked himself to China, and Real Madrid gave him the big luxurious contract. He's still there. He's playing the game again this year. There has been, like was just said there has been rumours about him going to United and Liverpool. I don't think Liverpool is going to happen. But
come here,
you've seen players going to United at that age, and United paid them the money. It's the gas thing about it. They give 200 or 300 grand a week. But I don't know at this stage.
They're mainly strikers, Ryan. They're never centre backs. You know what I mean? They're always a striker. You know.
Well, the unpopular opinion here from me, but I've always thought Sergio Ramos was a liability in defence for me. I've seen him for years give away stupid penalties and get red carded, and as your leader in that back four, I completely agree. I don't think that he was given the option of a 1 year contract or 2 with a 10% cut, and it's like take it or leave it. He's 35. I'm here at the moment. I've been saying for Arsenal for years. We gave Aubameyang a big contract there, and I know Arsenal fans were going mad. Get this fella to sign a contract. He's 31 now or something. Aubameyang, what you know?
You'd be looking at giving Varane 27, one of the best players in the world. You'd be looking at where does our
exactly. I don't see why you prioritise a 35-year-old. So I can't understand where Real Madrid are coming from. Of course, he's been a legend at the club, one of the top centre backs of my generation. But it comes to a point where they need to look into the future, and especially for a fella who's probably demanding astronomical wages. I don't know exactly what he's on, but I think invest that money into players like David Alaba or something that's coming in. That if they bring Alaba and Varane in, that's a back four now for the next 4 or 5 years that they wanted.
But Real Madrid could be looking at what Ramos done for the last 3 or 4 years and linking himself away to get more money and saying, "Well, look, you fucked us under the bus." Like, you know what I mean?
He's a messer. He's always had that in him. He reminds me. David Luiz is very like that for me as well. Of course, completely different in terms of ability. I think Sergio Ramos is head and shoulders above David Luiz, but David Luiz, you're always waiting for David Luiz to get sent off or do something stupid, or even the way he acted there trying to get the way he acted with getting Sarri out and everything there with Chelsea.
Yeah,
and,
but Ryan, you're going to get that with any. I mean, most world-class players that are out there have that kind of craziness about them. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
I wouldn't have regarded Ramos as a liability. I would regard him as a guy who's full on 100% and sometimes 100% at the wrong time.
He can be a bit rash.
But I mean, he lives and dies the club, and he lives and dies a winning mentality. And he's that guy. I mean, you think about not only what he's done for Real Madrid, but think about what he did for Spain as well.
But Spanish football in general.
What I mean? But even at an international level, I mean, he drove that team forward and stuff like that. You know, he was the talisman there, you know what I mean?
Him and Puyol.
And you got to remember as well, he was a player at Real Madrid that stood out even when Ronaldo was there. He was that talisman there, pushing Real forward. At times when Ronaldo, I mean, if you think back to the game against Liverpool in Kiev, I mean, he was really, he was that man there. I mean, Ronaldo barely showed up in that game. You know what I mean? So, like, you have to, I wouldn't have called him a liability, but I can see the point when he's 35 and stuff like that. But then, you look, I mean, Chelsea have only signed Thiago as well. So maybe he brings a lot more than just what he's doing on the pitch. Like, can you imagine having a Sergio Ramos around a Ben Davis or around a Kabak or around a Nat Phillips at any time, guiding them along, teaching them. Now, I know we probably have that a bit with Virgil van Dijk when he comes back, but like that kind of thing as well, that passing on, that winning mentality, that desire at 100% to do whatever it takes to win. You can't put a price on that. You really can't put a price on that. You know what I mean? And it's just, I think there'll be a lot of Premiership clubs hunting down Sergio Ramos if he came available.
I take him at Arsenal. I take him at Arsenal now.
Yeah,
he's better than any. If he was to come to the league, he'd get into the team of the year straight away.
Yeah,
absolutely no doubt of his ability. I just always thought he could be rash at times, but I do get what you mean. That's probably just him 100% committed to to winning. But especially
he
no,
plays
that's
for
a
the badge,
great.
doesn't he?
Absolutely, that's a great point you said there as well. Like sometimes you forget Ronaldo's on the pitch even, and that's weird to be outshadowed by a centre back. Which shows the ability that Sergio Ramos had, and but I think that he's been offered that contract there. I don't like the seediness of Real Madrid there. It's a bit strange to see the La Liga in the state it's in, because me growing up, La Liga was the be all and end all, the best league in the world. The Galacticos, the great Barcelona team, Sevilla even won the 3 Europa Leagues in a row. They had it was the best. It was the league to play for. I don't see that now. Barcelona, Real Madrid, they look a shadow of what they were, and not even just on the pitch, but all this messing about going on, like here in Barcelona.
Barton got arrested today with a couple of
like
others.
All that messing, and even the fact that they're $1 billion or something in debt. Like what's going on?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting times going forward for Spanish football, without a shadow of a doubt.
And before we move on, lads, there's nothing wrong with a 35-year-old, all right?
I fully agree. I fully agree, and add 13 or 14 to it. Not a problem. You know what I mean? Let's have a talk. Let's wind it back here and have a quick chat about our friend Dane. You'll probably want to take this one. LeBron James and Zlatan. Having a bit of a Barney this week about trying to use their influence outside of their sport, and Zlatan saying, check yourself, pal, and stick to dribbling.
Want to see a fight between the two of them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you now, there'd only be one winner. That'd be Zlatan. I'm telling you that now.
100%.
Now, LeBron might take him out later on with the boys, either two-pack or big style. But I mean, that's a different kettle of fish. You know what I mean? But what's your what was your thinking on this? I mean,
that was so like out of the blue. That was the most random thing that I've in a long time. Like, just maybe there could be something behind it from when Zlatan played in LA with the Galaxy and stuff like that. But I don't know. It was so out of the blue. Like when you said it to me, I was like, I must look into this, and I was thinking to myself, first of all Black American sports stars are political about something. You know what I mean? They all got to say with what's going on over there at the moment. They all got a say in all. But like when you're making that kind of money, a lot of them Black sports stars in America, it is all about publicity with them. You know what I mean? Because let's be real, if I was on 125 million a year for throwing a ball into a net, let's be real, I wouldn't really give a shit what's going on outside of my little bubble. You know what I mean?
Listen, I'd be on a yacht living the life. I wouldn't care whether it's Trump or Biden or anything else. Like, look, I'm balling it. Who cares? You know what I mean? The one thing that people have been kicking back on about is there's probably two things. I mean, Zlatan originally spoke about his time, back in Sweden, and because of his name, there was kind of, let's call it kind of abuse. He used to get abused kind of nearly to the racial side of things, and he has spoke about that in the past. But I think with LeBron, it's kind of weird because, they come out talking about voters' rights and human rights and all that kind of thing. But they choose to forget that their sponsor is Nike, and Nike has got that sort of shadowy past over in China, and wouldn't be a huge advocate over there in terms of human rights, allegedly. But it's
he's probably got a couple of kids in his basement making him basketball shoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they choose not to talk about it when it comes to their sponsors. So it was kind of out of left field, but absolutely brilliant for podcasters like myself because it gives us great content to talk about. But then LeBron came back. LeBron came back then and sort of said to Zlatan, "I'll do whatever I want. Who are you?" So it was kind of it was a strange one. What was your thinking on it, Ryan? Mar?
Oh, sorry. No, I just got confused there with the two Ryan. It's bizarre, but I mean, Zlatan, he doesn't hide away from this sort of thing, really. He's known for coming out and making mad statements like this.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, it's each to their own, really. I know the whole situation in America is a lot bigger than it is probably over here or over in Europe, for that regard, anyway. But I think it's one of these other publicity stunts from Zlatan, isn't it? He just loves coming out with some random crap every now and then. And you'll see now in a couple of months' time to be hopefully when this pandemic time is over, to be pictures of them together on a beach or something, drinking mojitos, laughing at all of us because we bit onto it.
Cashing Nike checks.
Cashing big checks,
might be kissing.
Yeah. But it's like nothing surprised me with Zlatan. Like it's like you look back there a couple of weeks at that beef with Lukaku. Where did that come from as well? Like it's he likes. I think he just likes making these presents now.
Do you know what I think it is? He finds football such an easy thing that it bores him. And he just be waiting with bated breath for this stuff to come out, like, and he just jumps on it.
I'd say he has a dartboard in his room, Niall, and it just has a list of celebrities or a list of topics, and he wakes up in the morning, lashes a dart on it when he's drinking his coffee and says, right, that's it, lads, I'm going to piss off LeBron today.
Yeah. The top 50 social media influencers on a dartboard, and he just throws a dart at it blindly and goes,
well, okay, fingers crossed he might hit the upper tier, Niall, you know what I mean? He might be on the bullseye.
Listen, he's more than welcome anytime. We all know he's a god, isn't he? Finally, I want to get on to Craig mentioned it earlier, and we had spoke about it previously on the End of an Era Barcelona episode. Barçagate. Today, we woke up this morning to hear that Barcelona's offices were being raided by police this morning, that there was a number of arrests, including Bartomeu, in relation to dealings in relation to appointing social media companies to create sort of allegedly slur campaigns against coaches, staff and footballers. And we had spoke about this on the Barca one. Craig, you give us a rundown on it because you seem to know an awful lot about this. This was a real
basically, obviously Barcelona, Catalonia itself is such a major fan base following in and out of the club. Bartomeu, as the president, would have gotten a lot of backlash for everything that goes on negative. They jump on it like wildfire. So what he did was, behind the kind of background and spent the club's money, was get a kind of propaganda thing going, as to say, post bad about Guardiola, post bad about Messi, post bad about performances, and make it kind of look like, look, I'm trying to keep Barcelona afloat here. It's them. They're running the football down. They're running performances down. They don't care. Like, I'm trying to save the club. And he actually hired a company in to promote that and push it. And today, obviously, it was funny enough, we were talking on the Barcelona. Today, they actually went and raided and arrested him and a couple of other people over. He publicly didn't deny it either. Like, he hired a company. Guardiola was named, Messi was named, other players, coaches, staff. It goes right down to the wire.
Well, what I would say at the moment is this is all allegedly, and people
I believe it, to be honest.
Are innocent until proven guilty. So, but it wasn't interesting. It is an interesting development there, and again, not dissimilar to our Ramos conversation. You know what I mean? It's again, another sword on Spanish football and the kind of carry.
The thing with Bartomeu, he didn't want to leave his presidents like tattered. He didn't want to leave Barcelona as I failed. He did everything he could to kind of look. I left you in a good place. This isn't me. This isn't my fault. So Mark, this is what it's coming back full circle.
Mark, what was your thinking on it when you seen that today?
Yeah, when I was reading it, it didn't surprise me at all, because behind every football club, there's always politics. There's even at the lower level, there's always something like that. It's just a matter of finding them out. We all know about Messi and his dad and the tax and whatever, and all these football clubs. There's so many levels. They're all like politicians. They're all snakes. Like especially in Spain, like we talked about the Spanish football. They're all snakes. That's all they are.
Graham, what was
your? Sorry, who's speaking there?
No, go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say on Mark's point, especially with Real Madrid and Barcelona, they're not even football clubs over there. They're like two, I don't know, cartels almost over there. It's not just about Real Madrid and Barcelona. It's about Spain and Catalonia as well. It's a massive, massive thing. Like as he said, like Barcelona are responsible for almost all of Catalonia. It's a big, big thing over there, and we're seeing that almost the nasty side of that coming out now. Of course, any football club, there is some level of politics going on, but definitely Real Madrid and Barcelona, there's something going on, and it was weird to see the president step down only a while ago, and now all of a sudden this is all coming out we're starting to see finally a bit of behind the scenes of what's going on, especially with Messi's leaked contract as well a while ago. Where did that come about?
He refused Messi to leave. This story about how Messi wants to go and all. That could have been done without any trouble. Give him a proper send-off and he wants to go on with his career, venture on, the last few years. But he refused. He said, look, I stay. I'll do whatever you want, because he knew if Messi went, he'll come back on the presidency at Barcelona. And he didn't want that negativity on him. Comes around again to him, the presidency at Barcelona. It's not just the club. It's the bigger hierarchy,
It's mad to think, isn't it, as the president of such a large club, I mean, arguably one of the biggest in the world, if not, that you could create an internal slur campaign against your own team and your own players. And especially at a time as well when they were kind of struggling a bit, you know what I mean? So it's very devious and very seedy. Graham, did you have a look at this today? What was your thinking on it?
Well, I just I thought it was very unusual, like throughout the years, you have the mighty Real Madrid and Barcelona's winning the Spanish titles and going for the Champions Leagues and all that, and then the giants, of Spanish football, and then not being too sure what's going on in the background, and then everything is hush hush, and then if something gets out into the local papers, especially with that thing over Messi about his not paying his taxes, it just builds a big bubble in the club of uncertainty, like what's happening with Messi? Is he going to jail? Are we going to have him for the next few years? What's going to happen to us? Are we going to go down the table? Is our place is going to be gone? It's a weird thing in football. You just don't know what goes on in the background.
And another thing, Niall, is as coaches and footballers get into the football for the love of the game. Obviously, if you can go on and get paid and become professional, it's a bonus. In the hierarchy, these are businessmen. They walk across anyone and stab anyone in the back to get their own way. You know what I mean? Where, like I said, everyone else is in like I said, in football for the love of it. They're in it for the money, and that's the end of it.
Well, we touched on that on the Barca episode. I mean, if you're getting paid $600,000 a week, tax-free or whatever it is, you're no longer in the game for the love of the game. You know what I mean? Or the love of your club. Dane, what was your thinking on it when this broke today?
It's been coming for a while. I think that the club is in major trouble, probably for. I think when that great Guardiola team, when Guardiola left, I think just that club just started the cracks started to appear. Players were demanding excessive wages. Just the whole Catalan thing comes into play as well. That's the country in itself in there. Do you know what I mean? Catalonia. And it's a siege mentality. It's Catalonia against the rest of Spain. The hatred there, the King of Spain being involved with Real Madrid. Don't be surprised when all of this, because eventually this is all going to lead to a big, massive special courts thing over in Spain. Don't be surprised if Real Madrid is actually involved in leaking some of the information, or there's a lot of dirty dealings going on there. And Barcelona and Real Madrid are sitting at the top of that table, but this is going to, I can see, honestly, in 10 years, I don't think Barcelona will exist anymore. I just think that there's major problems ahead for them. I think people are trying to get out. I'd say there's a lot of people who haven't been arrested who got out just in time before their names were dragged into it. This is going to get very, very messy. Very, very messy. And I wouldn't be surprised if in 10 years' time there isn't a Barcelona anymore. I know it sounds a bit far-fetched, but why is there no massive investment in there? Just people are frightened to get involved there with all the stuff that's going on there.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting to keep an eye on it. I mean, that's a massive shout. Imagine the football world without Barcelona. It's bad enough that we're thinking about the likes of Messi and Ronaldo potentially coming to the end of their career and losing both of them. But imagine to lose, can you imagine if the Premiership lost Chelsea or Man United, or and they weren't there?
Chelsea wouldn't be a huge loss. Chelsea wouldn't be a huge loss. They're half a club anyway.
Yeah, but they also pump a hell of a lot of money into the league and into the local situation.
I'm just joking, I know.
Yeah, absolutely. But lads, as always, it's been brilliant having you on. Again, some interesting topics to keep an eye on. Some interesting fixtures coming up during the week. We are going to be doing a couple of episodes this week as well, just to give you a quick preview on them. We're going to be looking at One episode's going to be the rise of Rangers and the fall of Celtic around Neil Lennon and stuff like that and what's happened there. So we're going to be dropping an episode on that at some stage this week. But we're also going to be looking at the rise again of the Milan clubs as a powerhouse in Italian football, and how this has strategically happened in both clubs, and how Juve haven't prepared themselves for this. So there are 2 episodes that's coming up this week, obviously. But again, been brilliant to have you on. As always, our sponsors, Hogan Elite Trophy Hire on Facebook. If you need any silverware for your special occasion, or if you need a referee, if the wedding day doesn't go too well and you want to break up straight away, the ref is there to sort it out with the cards. Also, Ella's Toys and Collectibles. Head over there if you're looking for 10% if you collect your Funko Pops or collectible toys. They'll sort you out there. Just mention you're a viewer and subscriber of the Upper Tier Podcast on the Dynamo Podcast Network. As always, head over to YouTube and subscribe. Hit that bell notification. Obviously, share and like everything. And always support Irish podcasting. So for me, Niall Hogan, for my Monday Mashers, who have done another brilliant job this week, we'll talk to you next time.